In communication with Southern California, Channel 9 Public Affairs presents Teen Talk. Studies show that when a parent is emotionally disturbed, the children are at high risk of emotional disturbance. 10 to 20% of all children with one schizophrenic parent will eventually develop the same tendencies. Approximately 20 million children in the U.S. under the age of 18 are growing up in homes with alcoholic parents.
When a judge sentences a parent to prison, in a sense he is also sentencing the children. When a parent is in any form of an institution, certainly the offspring of that parent is going to experience an enormous adjustment. I'm Joseph Feinstein, and today on Teen Talk we've assembled several young people, all of whom have one thing in common: their parent has lived away. Welcome, panel, welcome to Teen Talk, and welcome to you, Pat Mercado, the chaplain at the LA County Child Abuse Center. It's nice to see you here, and thank you for assembling these young people for us. I really appreciate that very much. Panel, let's get started by asking you, why is your parent away? George, can you tell us what was happened with you?
Well, my dad was, he was in and out of jail for the abuse of heroin. Mm-hmm. He used to use heroin and also deal it. And the last time he got out was October, and I believe he's gonna stay out forever now because I would say about a month after he got out, he gave his life to the Lord, and God is really doing a work in his life.
Okay, so with your father, he's found religion, and hopefully this is going to keep him clean and pure and good, going along well. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed for that. How about you, Lee? What happened with Dad?
My dad's been serving, so my dad's been in jail 2 years as of this November for disobeying military orders, abusing alcohol, and beating my mom and I.
Wow.
So.
And that happened, how long has he been away now?
2 years, November.
This November, okay, okay. And how about for you? What's the story with you?
Well, my dad's been in and out of jails for quite a while. Now that he's gave his life to God 13 years ago, he's been volunteering to go in prisons and speak to the men that are in there.
So he was in jail a long time ago, and
yes.
now everything has been working well with him. Okay,
yes.
Is that what I hear you saying? Good,
yes.
Okay. And Ron, what about you?
Both of my parents were in jail a while back. My dad just got out of jail about 2 years ago. A year. He's been in jail for about 7 or 8 years for robbery and drugs.
Now, how old are you, Ron?
Right now I'm 13.
You're 13. What goes on inside of you, let's say, when you realize, how old were you when Dad was sent away?
I was 9.
9 years old. What happened? As you can remember it, what took place inside of you?
Well, I felt lonely and I felt sad, and because I couldn't see my dad. And then I took out my anger on a lot of things in my house. And then to get over it, I used to listen to hard rock music.
Really? Did listening to the music help?
Yes, it did.
How?
Well, it affected me I would get away from that world of I wanted to get away from it all.
I can understand that. You know, for you to even say what you're saying now at the age of 13 is so mature. That is such a mature thing to say at the age of 13. Is this what you see, Pat? Do you see a lot of maturity among these kids? Because that's what I'm picking up as we were talking before. I was sensing so much maturity. They had to grow up fast kind of thing. Is that what happens?
Well, yes, because of the survival. You know, most of them are on a survival trip, and they do mature in a lot of times the wrong ways. But Ronald's one of the fortunate ones, and so are the rest that are sitting here.
Now, you went through your own private hell in your own way, too. What happened to you?
Well, I was the first child where I'm the chaplain at now.
Yeah.
And we were taken away from my mom, 5 of us, because my mother's a prescribed drug addict, which is on the uprise right now. And from there, because of anger and bitterness, I went on to juvenile facilities, youth authority. I went to jail and kept on going. And my mom was in and out of institutions for drug abuse, Camarillo State Hospital, Norwalk, and eventually she went to prison for murder.
What does this do to Pat Mikado? What happens inside of you?
It hurts a lot, lost years, a lot of pain, lots of pain.
And what happens to you, Valerie, as the daughter of Pat?
Several things that have, happened in our lives, and, the pain that my mom went through goes through our family, because as she's going through the pain, it's put on us, even though not realizing it, but it is, and the loneliness, the emptiness, things that you went through at school. When things are involved with your parents and stuff, you want them there, but you kind of tend to put aside because they're not there and you don't want to be involved. And
What happened? What can you remember from the times when Mom, let's say, was away, or the times that Dad was away in prison also?
the times I can remember.
Yeah, for you personally.
Just the loneliness, being in different homes, spending a lot of time with my grandmother, but then, she was on her own thing, and so just the different people being involved, taking care of me, and not really having a security there, having someone I can really depend on.
Maintaining a relationship with a parent in an institution is not easy. Very few of these types of facilities are hospitable places to visit. Some can be cold and aloof with all the associated rules and regulations. Panel, how often do you get a chance to get to visit your parent? George, how about you? When do you go?
Well, when my dad was away, we went to see him maybe once a month or sometimes even more. And it was real hard because you only get to see him for like 15 minutes, and you have to wait in a long line with a lot of frustrated people and stuff. And and I love my dad, and it's hard to go and to see him, and you can't touch him, you can't hug him. All you get to do is see him through a glass mirror and talk through him through a phone. It's really hard, upon the family, and especially, I have a little sister, and she's only 7, and it's real hard for her, to have to see her dad like that and not be able to touch him or anything.
Well, what about you? What do you do with all those feelings? What happens to those feelings? Do you cry? Do you scream? Do you rage? What do you do with that?
Well, there was a time where I didn't know what to do with those feelings. There was a time when my dad was away, I used to go out in the streets and take drugs and party, with my friends and stuff. But it's the last year and 5 months, I've given my life to the Lord, and I've been able to give my problems and my cares to Jesus, and He's been able to help me to cope with that, the last time that my dad was away.
So for you, an answer has been through that, through religion and spirituality and all those nice things. Okay, it serves a lot of people very, very well a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's welcome Yvette to our program too. We haven't spoken to you, Yvette. Do you remember when you went to visit your dad?
Yes, he got out like 5 or 6 months ago.
Yes.
And while he was in jail, I only got to visit him one time. And then, because we were having like trouble with money, Mom. And so she used to take my littler sisters to go visit him, family visits.
Did you go with them, or you chose not to?
No.
Why didn't you want to go?
Well, we stayed home because she didn't have enough money to take us.
Oh, so it was a question of affording the bus or the train fare to take you. I see. And when you did finally get a chance to go, what took place?
Well, when I went, like, I seen him, I got to touch him and hug him and everything. And then, like, it was real fast. And when I was leaving, like, I love my dad a lot. And as I was leaving, like, I wish I stood there with him. And then when I came home, I was just crying and crying in my bedroom because I wanted to be with him, but I couldn't because he was in jail.
How old are you now?
13.
You're 13 now? How old were you then?
I was 12.
12 years old. This was last year. You're crying right now. You thinking about that time? Is he still in jail now?
No, he got out like 5 or 6 months ago.
So he's home now, and you see him, and it was still, it left you very, very sad, didn't it? Even to think about it, it's sad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you were, you know, but be thankful that he's home now, and let's kind of keep a vigil that he's going to stay home and he's going to make things well. You had a rocky road yourself, didn't you?
Yes.
What'd you do? What kind of life did you do?
Well, I was a drug addict and an alcoholic for 27 years, and I ended up on Skid Row, and when I seen Yvette cry right now, I thought about Valerie and all the things that I put her through, and all the men and all the drugs, and it was horrible, and I couldn't take enough drugs to forget, you know.
What were you working so hard to get away from?
I wanted my mom. I wanted her till I was 37 years old, and she just wasn't there. You know, the search doesn't end for teenagers. It'll goes on a long time.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. That eternal search for mommy and for daddy, and for people that some people just can't give of themselves. They just don't know how. They didn't get it from their moms and dads, and they don't know how to give it to you. It must have been an awful time for you, huh?
Yes, it was.
Dad was in prison. Mom was in prison. Who were you being raised by?
Majority of the time, my sister. Not only with my parents, but my brother's in jail. My grandmother was in jail. My uncles. Our whole family has been a series of, you know, institutions.
Yeah.
My brother's still serving time right now in prison. He's has 1 more year to go. He's doing 8 years, and you know, we're talking about visiting, and it's very hard. You know, we just went, as a matter of fact, this weekend to visit my brother. And
What do you say? What'd you say to him? What did you talk about?
that used to be really hard for me, because it was very hard at times for me to write to him, because I would feel sad for him, because I wouldn't know what to say. I mean, it'd be hard for me to express myself, because what would you say to someone in there? You know, I wouldn't really want to tell him about all that's been happening with me, you know, things I've been involved in, because I felt bad for him that he couldn't be involved. And we talk about, you know, since Jesus came into our lives, my brother is now saved. He used to be a gangbanger and into a lot of drugs.
What does that mean, gangbanger?
He used to be involved in a gang, and he used to, you know, just run the streets, robberies, and do a lot of bad things. And but now he's saved, and you know, he loves God. And so when we go in there, you know, we talk about the Lord. We talk about just things that he's involved in, and what a struggle it is for him in there. A lot of people think that being in there, you know, serving, a lot of times they'll say serving God in there, they think it's easy, but it's not. And it's hard to see them, because the people, the way, when we go visit them, the officers there treat us like if we're criminals, because
I know that so much of that treatment of the way when you come in. Ron, did you visit your dad when he was there?
Yes, I did visit him.
What happened?
Well, we'll be going in, visiting him, and it'll be just hard, just trying to visit him. Just like, we'll be like criminals ourselves, trying to go in through the crowds, the angry people, and then and when I visit my parents, my mom, it would be the same way, but I would want to really go, because I missed her a lot. She helped me and raised me through a lot. And my dad was different, because I hardly never seen him. He was always in the streets. So it really didn't make a difference when he was in jail. But I did miss him too.
About 20 million children in the United States under the age of 18 are growing up in homes where there is an alcoholic parent. They tell us that mental breakdown affects 1 person in every 10, with many of those people confined to an institution at some time in their life. Panel, how has institutional time helped your parent? Not hindered them, but helped them. How about you?
Well, it helped him knowing that it's hard in there and you get into a lot of trouble and there's no answer for them in there. And when he came out, he influenced my uncles to steal and take drugs and do wrong. And they started growing up and they started doing...
Those were his brothers, Christine?
No, they're my mother's brothers.
Your mother's brothers.
Yeah, so he influenced them in the wrong way and they started stealing with my father and, you know, watching him take drugs. And as they grew up, I seen them doing it and I sort of got influenced in the way as going out in the streets and partying. But like my mother and father, when they weren't saved, they loved me a lot. And they just, like, when they would get in arguments, I wouldn't see it really, and they would send me to my grandma's. But when my mother would go visit my uncles in jail and the frustration, we'd come back home, and I knowing that my mother's going to get mad and say, oh, my brothers can't come out, she would take it out on me. And, like, when I was starting to get older, and I was afraid that knowing my mom would get mad, I would stay away from my mother because she would, like, you know, hit me. But like, now that they're saved and they don't do that no more and they love me a lot and I love them a lot too. And I just pray to God that my uncles will serve God too.
I'm going to hope that your uncles are going to find whatever path that they need to find that's available to them that will help them come to some sort of understanding for themselves that'll make them feel better. And because I believe that each of us is basically quite good. I take the Anne Frank concept that each of us is really good at heart and that we're really striving to be good, not to be bad. And it's so interesting how so many people are getting into so much trouble today. I'm so glad that you too have found an answer for you. That's what makes the whole thing work so well. Lee, has this time in prison, do you think it's helping your dad at all?
I get a lot of letters from my dad while he's in prison.
You do?
And he always talks about, you know, how he's going to get out and he's going to be straight from being an alcoholic and everything he's done. And I really believe, you know, he's found the right way, the right road. He's on the right road to go.
When you write back to him, do you write back to him?
Yes, I do.
What do you write back to him?
I tell him, you know, I used to tell him that he'll never find the right way because all he ever did in his life was drink and lie. But now I figure that he'll get out and he'll do good and he'll get a decent job. And I know he's gonna do good in his life.
I think that when you send out that kind of vibration to him and you give him that kind of good feeling, and especially if you'll write it down, and when you see him or talk to him, tell him this. Let him know the faith that you have in him. We all need to have some kind of faith sent to us. The agencies that we are, especially when it's faith mixed in with love. Man, there is just nothing more powerful than love. And you see, that's what I love about you guys, is that you are really love children of the first order. And you're an adult love child in the first order, my dear Miss Mikado. That's what you're disseminating in that place. What do you see down there that's helping those people down there?
Well, you know, I've been there 5 years, and last year we had 29,000 children come through there.
Oh my God.
And I think that the hope that I'm able to give them is that because the Lord changed my life, and Valerie is coming out of all her insecurities, and my mom is serving the Lord. I mean, my mom was 63. To come off of a 35 years of drugs, she's strong, she can be a light now, and we show them that in our life we have 3 generations that have made it because of the Lord. And the kids, they all want that. They need an answer, you know, because It's hard to love a parent that's been through that and put you through
What could we do? We're watching, and I'm teaching and attempting to do my thing, and with Just Say No and all the other things that I do. What could I do for you, George, that could make a difference? How can I help you? How could the people out there help you?
Well, just a year and 5 months ago, you know, there was a lot of people that were out to help me. School teachers, my parents, relatives. But nothing helped me. It was only the love of God. It was only through Jesus that my life was changed. You know, I looked to drugs, I looked to sex, I looked to all this stuff. I looked to everything that this world had to offer, but I didn't find nothing. I didn't find anything that could satisfy the emptiness and the hurt that I had deep down inside. It was only through Jesus and giving my life over to Him. And I encourage anybody that's out there and they're hurting and they're tired of the life they're living, Jesus can change it. He's changed mine, He's changed ours.
If we are lucky, we parents will steer our children away from the same mistakes that we have made. We, of course, want the very best for our children and their children. Help for institutionalized families can come from the community through meaningful education and public awareness. Studies show that the more public support that people in institutions receive, the less likely it is that they will return to those institutions. Panel, you've been wonderful in sharing yourselves and your thoughts and your feelings on a very delicate subject. Your sensitivity is just wonderful. Love yourself, keep loving yourself. For Teen Talk, this is Joseph Feinstein saying we will see you very soon.